Of dying by asteroid impact, 1 in 700,000. The overall risk of dying from an impact in your lifetime is 1 in 700,000.
All right, good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alix Jules. I'm the historian for the Fellowship of Freethought. Today is October 16th, 2010. The time is 11:03. All right, so welcome to the 8th of our gatherings. Do we have any new visitors today? Welcome, welcome. First, I wanted to start out by actually showing everyone, just continuing with our conversation on charity. We were presented a few days ago a certificate of congressional recognition in honor of Fellowship of Freethought, Adopt a Shoreline Volunteer. So I wanted to show you guys that we did actually get that. We're out there cleaning up a lot, so it's nice to know that we are being recognized. Okay, so as for everyone else, is everyone fully recovered from the Freethought convention? Yeah? All right, so no. Almost? No, not yet. I wanted to thank a few members of the DFW Corps and all of its participating members, Randy Word, fellowship members Zach, Georgine, Whitney, Amanda, Catherine, Don, and their supporting teams for helping to pull off a very successful Freethought conference. Jamie and Aaron were absolutely awesome, absolutely amazing on the SBOE discussion panel. We had wonderful talks from our speakers for those of you that didn't attend, including one of our Freethought defenders, that's his new name, Michael Newdow, who gave us a history lesson on separation of church and state. Abby Smith showed me why she's a whole lot smarter than I am. Marlene Winnell covered recovering from religion, which actually spurred a lot of discussion over the following days. It really is amazing to hear a lot of the stories about people still recovering from religion, which is actually pretty interesting when you hear Darrell Ray talk about the God virus. So we also had George Harab, Brother Sam, Brother Richard. Were absolutely delighted. And of course, the Faithless Companions rocked out a few sessions. We had a very diverse mix of free thinkers. Again, thank you very much. All right, so during the interview, the one that actually got aired on CBS 11 on that Saturday, Paul Mitchell, the founder of the Freethought Convention, made a comment that did not get aired, and it was in regards to TFC, now in its third year, not having, for the most part, dealing with any threats of violence, which I thought was really interesting, given that we tend to be feared, or one of the most hated minorities in the U.S. Still no threats of violence. So we see all the time reactions from people regarding their ways of life or their beliefs or their ideologies being threatened. In fact, if you all remember, you know, if we talk about the right to bear arms and that being threatened, we've heard the term coined, they'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands, right? We also even hear Christians talk about it when in regards to their Bibles. I used to be one of them. So, but there have been no overt threats made to the TFC, which again was interesting. The American Psychiatric Association lists a phobia as an irrational and excessive fear of an object or situation. In most cases, the phobia involves a sense of endangerment or a fear of harm. It is the most common of mental disorders in the U.S. I would have thought we would have had an irrational threat. But in looking at the list of recognized fears by the APA, there was no atheist phobia. There was one listed for theophobia, which is fear of gods and religion stuff. when I was looking at the list, I counted about 500. Some of them included acrophobia, fear of heights, agoraphobia, fear of insanity. Anyone got others? Any other phobias? Arachnophobia, fear of spiders. What she said, fear of clowns, fear of demons, fear of belly buttons, fear of infinity. I thought that one was interesting. Just because that's a phobia, exactly. So, fear of Friday 13. Number 13. All right, so some of the phobias I personally found ridiculous. But that's because some, but not all fears are caused by a traumatic event. If you got locked in a closet, for instance, for hours as a young child, it would not be irrational for anyone else to expect this now adult to not be scared of tight or confined spaces. We have a reason. It's not truly irrational. The fear or the actions may be irrational, but you can rationalize why that happened. Just as some children of divorce are afraid of commitment and marriage, statistically their marriages too once had a higher tendency to result in divorce. But what about the one phobias like homophobia that really make no sense? Most people that are homophobic don't have traumatic memories associated with that. And by the way, I could not find a reference anywhere for heterophobia. So it seems as if we have a mental disorder, if we use the classic definition, with a strong sexual preference. So again, fear is a powerful thing. Think of how much fear has guided your life. I don't like jaywalking personally because as a child I saw someone get hit. I have a fear of getting run over. I think we all do. But I refuse to not tell my family that I love them. And for the most part, I really do refuse to leave the house without doing so and without being angry because of one particular event in my life, September 11th, 2011. Friends and families thought, after arguing, that when they got home, they would be able to make up. I refuse to take that chance. A lot of people never saw each other again. Again, fear is a powerful thing.
Alex,
yes, sir.
Can you turn up the volume? Or...
I can bring the mic closer. All right. So, in fact, we'll continue with the September 11th tract, much of which has taken a grip on our country's attentions anew. So, a new kind of fear. Still, fear of atheists is out there. However, it's because we are arrogant and we know better, but we debate. We're dangerous to an ideology. We don't assert that we're right. We just ask you to prove that you're right, therefore proving that you're not wrong. But what happens when you have a conflicting ideology, one that is not backed necessarily by reason and a strong preference of evidence, equally irrational, and backed by 900,000 pounds of flying metal, hurling towards 2,752 innocent lives? So today's word of the day is Islamophobia. Some will argue that this fear, is not a real fear. It's unwarranted. Some will say that it fuels the debate regarding building the mosque in the vicinity of Ground Zero. In our public discourse, some may argue that it is not Islamophobia that is the issue, but just fear and prejudice, common and transitory, in our species. Perhaps it is merely fear and prejudice towards Arabs that we hear about. Beatings in New York because you're wearing a turban when you're not a Sikh, when you're a Sikh and not necessarily even a Muslim. How far does that fear and irrationality need to go? Sam Harris states there is no such thing as Islamophobia. Bigotry and racism exist, of course, and they are evils that all well-intentioned people must oppose. And prejudice against Muslims or Arabs purely because of the accident of their birth is despicable. But like all religions, Islam is a system of ideas and practices, and it is not a form of bigotry or racism to observe that the specific tenets of the faith pose a special threat to civil society, nor is it a sign of intolerance to notice when people are simply not being honest about what they and their co-religionists believe. The latter part is actually pretty deep. So religions are founded on the fear of the many and the cleverness of the few. So said French writer Stendhal, but Bertrand Russell has said it over and over and over again, essentially the same way. I'm not knocking fear. Fear is instinctual. It's posited that our dreams often live out those fears vividly, running through simulations and learning from them. We learn through fear. Fear is a biological response that's necessary for survival. If you're going trick-or-treating with your children this year, you'll tell your kids not to eat uninspected candy, even though there has never been one documented case of Halloween candy death or injury in the U.S., although some dad did wind up poisoning his kids' pixie sticks for the insurance money, and another kid died after getting into his uncle's heroin right after trick-or-treating. But that's actually about it. So we have a lot to be fearful of, but not all of it is rational. Just remember that just as it can be used to control, fear can control you as well. So the key to change, is the quote, is to let go of fear. Rosanna Cash. All right. Again, welcome. We're going to go ahead and start with Don't Bury Me by the Faithless